The biggest challenge you face at retirement with your portfolio is that you need your portfolio to actually do three things. The first one is you need to generate income. You want to replace your paycheck, you want to live comfortably, and for that, you need income. The second thing is you need stability. You don't want to wake up on April 1st, retire, and then a few days later being down 10% with your stock portfolio. So you want to have a stable base so you don't have to panic and you can still sleep well at night at retirement. Finally, once you have generated income and you have some stability, you also need to generate some growth. If you're 65 today, chances are you're going to live until the age of 85, maybe 90, maybe 95. Therefore, you need your portfolio to grow so it can support you throughout your entire retirement. So today we're going to look at how you can set up your portfolio at retirement, including those three pillars, which are income, stability, and growth. So to generate income, there are so many products out there. Actually, the investment firms know that you are looking for income and they're ready to create all kind of strange and complex products, such as the Yield Max, where if you look at what happened with the Yield Max space on Tesla since the inception, you're going to realize that not only the capital is moving up and down, maybe giving you some headaches, but on top of that, your source of income is not exactly stable. So I'm not telling you it's working or it's not working, but I'm just telling you that if you invest in a product like a Yield Max, you better know what you're doing because the income will not be stable from one quarter to another. So the real key here is to understand what you have in your portfolio and why you have it. So at first, you have three sources of income from different products. The first one would be interest, which is great because this is like a lot more stable. It's usually generated by bonds, by GICs, or by ETFs that focus on generating short-term income. On the other side, unfortunately, it's fully taxable. So if you hold them into an unregistered account, it's going to sting it a little bit. Then you have dividend income. This is also where I intend to focus most of my income source at retirement. So it's going to be paid by stocks. It could be also paid by covered call ETF or by ETF. Finally, you have capital gains, which is all on the table. It's focused on growth and it relies on the fact that you have to sell shares to generate the income you're looking at. So not exactly the most stable source of income at retirement. In my plan, I intend to use a mix of dividend income, some interest, and selling shares to complete my retirement income. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do that at the end of this video. But when you think about that, selling shares, that's dangerous, right? Especially in the market that is going down 10, 20%. This is not the right timing. This is where you need some stability. At retirement, having a portion of your portfolio that is stable, that you can count on, is super important. First, because it's going to avoid you to panic, which is definitely not something that you want to do. And because of the fact that you're losing this ability to add more capital to the stock market and you're actually withdrawing capital month after month, you want to have something stable. The second thing is when the market is down, you also want to be able to withdraw money without having to sell at a loss. There are multiple products that can offer you that, such as GICs, bonds. You have target date retirement funds that will also include a good portion of bonds. You have long-term corporate bonds. You have real return bonds. You have annuities. The list is very long. And to help you make the right decision, I created a quick guide where I reviewed 20 income-focused products. You can download it in the link description below. It's on retirementloop.ca. You just go there, you enter your email, and you will receive the guide, including 20 complete review on the income-focused products. So the problem with income focus and stable investment is that most of the time they will not met the inflation. So they will generate a steady stream of income, but it may not be enough if you live 20, 25, 30 years in retirement. Therefore, your portfolio must also have a portion invested in growth mode. I know when you think about growth, you think about volatility, but it necessarily doesn't need to be that way. You can build a portfolio with ETFs or dividend stocks that will be relatively stable, especially if you have a solid asset allocation. The key is to generate a little bit more returns so you can actually withdraw money from the stable and from the income part and let the growth part move on. But the big question is, how can you combine that portfolio generating income, being stable, and also being in growth mode? So here's an example of how I intend to do it once I retire. So imagine that you have $1 million and you want to generate $40,000 out of it. Why do I use those numbers? Because a safe withdrawal rate would be 4% or less. Actually, even at 4%, financial literature has demonstrated us that sometimes you may outlive your portfolio, and this is not something that you want. So this is a warning for all retirees thinking that they can invest $1 million in high income products and then withdraw 6-7% of that amount and still be safe for 25 years. It's likely not going to happen. Like, something's going to hit on the road. The income is not going to follow inflation, or eventually some income will be cut. So you have to be very careful if you focus on high yielding products for sure. So when I look at my dividend growth investment strategy, I intend to generate a yield of roughly 2.5%. It is relatively a low yield because I want to invest in quality companies that have the ability to increase their dividend every single year. I want to beat inflation like this, and also I want to invest in companies that are confident in the future and that has the necessary cash flow to run the business and increase the dividend every year. So the yield's at 2.5. I'm going to invest $950,000 out of that million at this yield, generating $23,750. Then, of course, if I have $40,000 that I need and I'm generating almost 24, I am still missing $16,250. But I do have $50,000 left out of my million that I will create a cash reserve. That will be my stability. So while I'm generating a lot of income from my portfolio, if I'm forced to sell some shares, that's not going to be a smart move if the market is down 15% on that year. So the $50,000 will be split into 3 years of GIC ladder, 1, 2, and 3 years. I'm going to use the same 2.5% yield just to make it simple and also just not to overstate interest rate in the future. So what's going to happen with my $1 million is $950,000 will still be in my dividend growth investing strategy, generating $23,750. Then the $50,000 at 2.5% as well in interest will also generate another $1,200. Then I need to just sell $15,000 worth of share per year to bridge the gap between the dividend, the interest that I'm generating, and my retirement budget of $40,000. Here's the thing, $15,000 is the equivalent of a return, a capital appreciation of like 1.6% after the dividend. That's not too much, right? If I am in a position where the portfolio went up by like 3 or 4%, that's going to be super easy to sell some shares, trim it, just rebalance my portfolio, and still live on that income. If we are in a down market where my portfolio is actually down 10%, well, then I can use $15,000 from the GIC maturing at that time. So I have for 3 years to wait until I have to sell a single share. On average, a bear market will most likely fully recover within 18 to 24 months. There are some exceptions, such as the 2008 financial crisis or the tech bubble in 2000 that took more 4 to 5 years to fully recover, but at least I will still protect my portfolio for a large portion of time. If I want to go one step more secure, I would probably use $100,000 in the GIC ladder and $900,000 invested in a dividend growth oriented portfolio to make sure that my cash reserve would last those 5 years until any kind of crisis happen and still have money in my pockets without having to worry to sell at a loss. So as you can see, with a simple method, you can generate income, you can have stability, and you can also generate some growth. If you are looking for more income focused products, I have reviewed 20 of them at Retirement Loop. The link it is in the description below. You can download your guide and you're going to have like the ratings, the pros, the cons, and also the common mistakes that retirees make when they invest in those products. All right, guys, that's enough for today. I will see you in the comment. Do not forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to not miss my next video next Thursday. And until the next time, don't forget to stay invested.